Hello, very good evening to everyone. Today in this video, we'll be seeing about integration testing. My name is Prabhakaran. I am from QA Engineers. So what is integration testing? Integration testing is defined as a type of testing where the software modules are integrated logically and tested as a group. So a typical software, it can consist of a number of modules and it can be coded by a number of programmers. So this purpose of this testing is to expose defects while interacting between those two a number of modules when they're trying to integrate each other. Integration testing can also be termed as string testing and sometimes thread testing. Why do we need integration testing? So in unit testing, what we do is we test individually all the modules. It can be either tested by the developers, mostly by the developers, and sometimes by the testers as well. But the thing is, in unit testing, they test individually the modules, they completely test it individually. But in integration testing, those individual modules which are already tested in the unit testing will be tested when integrated each other. So unit testing, after unit testing is done, so integration testing, then it goes to system testing, and then it goes to acceptance testing. So why we do integration testing? Like since the individual module, as I said before, it can be designed by programmers with different logic. So their understanding might be different from other programmer who defined another module. So integration testing becomes very necessary to verify the software modules work when they integrate each other. And during the module development, there might be a wide number of chances in the changes in requirement by the clients. And those new requirements may not be unit tested at that time. So hence the system integration testing becomes very much necessary. And the interfaces of the software modules with the database could be erroneous or sometimes similarly with the external hardware interfaces. And inadequate exception handling could also cause issues. So we need integration testing to fix these issues. An example of an integration test case. Integration test case differs from the other test case in the sense it focuses mainly on the interfaces and the flow of data information between the modules. So the priority is given to the integrating links rather than the unit function which is already tested. So instead of testing the whole module individually, like completely, it mainly concentrates on the connection between the two modules, the information, the data transfer, the flow of information between one module to another module. That's the main aim of the integration test case. Let's take an example. Let's say an application has three modules, say login page, mailbox, and delete emails page. So here we don't concentrate on the login page testing as it is already done in unit testing. Similarly, it is the same with all the other pages like mailbox pages and unit testing pages and delete emails page. Sorry. So let's see how it's linked from one page to another page. That's how we'll try to check an integration test case. So in the test case ID, let's say we have the numbers written, the test case objective. Here in the first we check the interface link between the login and the mailbox module. And in the test case description, we are entering the login credential. We are clicking on the login button. And in the expected result, so once the login credential is entered and the login button is clicked, it should be directed to the mailbox. Similarly, from the mailbox, we are checking the link between the mailbox to the delete mails module. So in the test script description, we are trying to select the mail which we want to delete and we're clicking the delete button. So the expected result is when the delete button is clicked, the deleted email should be in the deleted folder. That's what the expected result. So we are just trying to concentrate only how it, like once the function is done, how it's transferred from one module to another module. That's what we are trying to concentrate integrating this case. So by now we should have some understanding of what is integration test case and why it's done. And there are different approaches, strategies, methodologies of integration testing. The two main approaches is Big Bang approach. The second one is incremental approach. It is further divided into three types. One is top-down approach, bottom-up approach, and the sandwich approach, which is a combination of both top up and bottom down, top down and bottom up. Sorry. Big Bang approach. Here, all the components are integrated together at once and then tested. So, let us say like there are a number of modules, they integrated all at once and tested it directly. The pros is it can be efficient for a very small system. And the disadvantage is the fault localization is very difficult, as we never know where the fault occurs, or it's very difficult to localize the fault. And given the number of interfaces that need to be tested in this approach, some interfaces linked to be tested could be missed very easily. And since the integration testing can commence only after all the modules are designed, the testing team will have a very less time in executing the testing phase. In turn, the pressure leads to a lot of errors. And since all the modules are tested at once, the high critical modules which are not isolated or tested priority or not properly tested, the high critical modules and the critical modules will not be isolated and tested on priority. So there might be a chance that these high disk modules will not be tested properly. So coming to the incremental approach, in this approach, the testing is done by joining two or more modules that are logically related. Then the other related modules are added and tested for the proper functioning. This process continues until all the modules are joined and tested successfully. Incremental approach in turn is carried out by two different methods. One is bottom up and second one is top down method. So before going into detail about the two different types, we need to remember the two terms stub and driver. These are dummy programs which are carried out in the incremental approach. Stub and drivers do not implement the entire programming logic or sort of, but just simulate the data communication with the calling module. Let's say for an example. Here we have two modules, login page and admin page. So once after login page, we need to go to admin page. So in order to test the login page, we need to create a dummy admin page, and that can be called as a stub. Similarly, we are creating a dummy login page to test the admin page module. So in this case, we are testing the login page by using the admin page. So this admin page is being called by the login page. So it is called a call program. Here, we are testing the admin page using the driver. So this driver, since it is being calling to this admin page, from here to this transfer the data, the communication transfer from this login page to admin page. This is a dummy program which we're using. This is called as a calling program. The driver is also called as a calling program. Yeah. Now coming to bottom-up integration. So in the bottom-up strategy, each module at lower levels is tested with higher modules until all modules are tested. It takes help of drivers for testing. So the drivers are used in this, since it is like in this case we say. So since the bottom-up from here to this, like we're trying to test from real, let's say we have two modules, admin page and login page. So in the bottom, we'll just test admin page, then we'll go to login page. So since we're testing the admin, the bottom thing, we'll be mostly using the driver's help. Similarly, for top-down, will be as the example, we'll be testing the login page from here. Then once the login page is tested, then the admin page will be tested. So from the information flows, the testing flow will be from the top to bottom. So in the top-down approach, we'll be using Stub help. Both have the advantage, disadvantage almost similar, but with little differences. So here the follow location very easier compared to the big bang approach for both of them, for both bottom up and top down. And then no time is wasted for all modules development like big bang. So comparatively, it's very efficient compared to the big bang approach for both top down and bottom integration. And coming to the hybrid sandwich integration model, in this we combine both the top-down approach and the bottom-up approach. Here, the top-down top modules are tested with the lower modules at the same time. Lower modules are integrated with the top modules and tested. So this strategy makes use of both stubs and as well as the drivers. How to do integration testing? This integration test procedure, irrespective of the software testing strategies, are discussed here in this category. So we need to prepare the integration test plan, design the test scenarios, cases, and the scripts, executing the test case, followed by reporting the defects, tracking and retesting the defects, and step 3 and step 4, it's repeated, like executing the test case and tracking, retesting the defects are repeated until we complete the integration and it is successful. So let's look at the brief description of the integration test plan. So remember this, we need to include all the attributes while creating an integration test plan. So which method we are going to use, like either big bang or top down or bottom up, and scope and out of scope of the in the items in the integration testing. What are the roles or responsibilities of each person, whichever are responsible for the integration testing? What are the prerequisites for the integration testing and the testing environment and the risk and mitigation plans needed for the integration testing. The entry and exit criteria of integration testing, we just have a quick look. So in the entry criteria, we'll be looking on the unit tested components or the modules. And before coming to the integration testing, all the unit tested modules should be in the high prioritized bugs within the unit testing should be fixed and closed. And all modules to be code completed and integrated successfully. It should be properly integrated and it should be code completed. The integration test plan, test case scenarios to be signed off and documented well in advance before entering the integration testing. So also the required test environment should be set up for integration testing. And everything should be done in the test plan itself. And when can we exit the integration testing? These are the criteria. Successful testing of the integrated application. So once we completely successfully tested the integrated application in all the modules, then we can exit. All the executed test cases should be documented once it is tested. And all the high prioritized bugs should be fixed and closed. Then the technical documents should be submitted, followed by the release notes. So some of the best practice and guidelines for integration testing. First, determine the integration test strategy that could be adopted, and later for prepare the test cases and test data accordingly. It varies depending on the type of complexity of the project. So we need to adopt the test strategy, and we should finalize it before we starting working on it. We should study the architecture design of the application and identify the critical modules. These need to be tested on priority. Obtain the interface designs from the architecture team and create test cases to verify all of the interfaces in detail. Interface to the database and any external hardware or any external software applications should be tested in detail. Must be tested. It should be. It's not a should be. We must test these things or problem makers. So during integration testing, these interfaces must be tested in detail. After the test cases, it's the test data which plays a critical role. And always have the mock data prepared prior to the executing, and do not select test data while executing the test cases. So that's all for the integration testing video. And if you want to have more training on the software testing methodologies, please subscribe to the channel and please leave your comments if you have any questions. Thank you.